been seeing a trend in some comments that have been coming up here on YouTube that our cards and card making in general is looking less and less handmade and more like something you could have bought in a store. And so I went over to Laurel and Ardith, my two crafty friends, and we decided to do a little collaboration on this topic. Are cards becoming too perfect? Is card making losing that creativity and experimenting that we know and love and only really being shown in picture perfect light? Now, I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning when I first read comments like this, I kind of agreed to a point. By day, I'm a Montessori teacher, and we don't go out handing out things like stamped images or coloring books or anything pre-printed for our students to color in. And the reason is we believe that we want the imagination of the child to come out. We want them to draw their own pictures, color it in themselves. But I'm not in the classroom, I'm in my craft room. And I really had to think about things a little bit differently. Because stamping and card making, I fell in love with it because of the fact that I didn't need fine art skills in order to be creative. After all, I don't have fine art skills anyway. Now, hot foiling by far is the technique that is mentioned most often with comments like this about cards looking too perfect. And I can agree with it to a point. When you hot foil something, it doesn't look like something that can actually be achieved by hand. But I'd like to give you a different perspective. How many people comment on my YouTube channel, or how many comments do I see on social media saying that people still have their hot foil machine sitting in a box unused? Or how many people struggle with actually using the hot foil machine? Well, then I guess skills are needed. Handmade creativity is needed to achieve this. I mean, think about it. You need to have a creative idea to get a project started. You need to have the courage to say, take something out of the box and actually use it without knowing if it's going to turn out. You also have to have research skills to figure out how to use the machine or to troubleshoot if things are going wrong. Is it the wrong paper? Is it the wrong type of foil? What's going on? So there's a whole bunch of skills, not just creativity, involved in the process of hot foiling, despite the fact that it might give you a perfect look if you're good at it. Now, layering stencils were another thing that was mentioned quite often in these types of comments. And the fact that layering stencils are taking the skill out of coloring an image. After all, if you buy a layering stencil and you use it to color a stamped image, everyone's stamp is going to look the same, right? True and not true, because the fact of the matter is it takes skills and creativity to know which colors to choose so that you don't create mud, which ones blend together well. You'll see certain crafters using blending brushes to achieve more depth and a little bit more of a different look to their layering stencils. There's a lot going on in the process. And the thing that I love about layering stencils is I think it's building the foundations if someone chooses in the future to start learning how to color. Because you're learning things like, where do those shadows go in a flower when you're layering stenciling? They're there for you. And the more often you see things like that, the more comfortable I think you become in your own coloring or in your own crafting to know where things like that are placed. Now, for those of you that are saying that card making is becoming too perfect or that the supplies we're buying is making it too easy to achieve perfection, then I challenge you on the most basic supply that we've been using for years. If you watch this channel, you're probably a stamper. And stamping allowed us to not have, those of us who don't have the fine art skill to draw our own images, to be able to stamp something and have an image there ready to go. And it's not about the stamped image that makes us creative people or makes something look handmade or store-bought. It's what we decide to do with that stamp that's so important. That's where creativity begins. What technique am I going to use? What medium am I going to use to color it in or to stamp it in general? How am I going to incorporate it onto my cards so that it ties in with other elements? These are all the things that have to do with handmade and choices and not with store-bought cards. I also love the fact that 20 people can buy the same stamp set and all the cards are going to look completely different, which just shows us that something handmade can't be just mass produced like a store-bought card. I think my point at the end of the day is that crafting is a personal journey. And if you want to buy things like hot foil plates and layered stencils and you want your card to be picture perfect at the end of it, you do you. If you're the type of crafter who wants to experiment, get inky fingers, maybe what you're creating isn't going to turn out at the end of the day, but who cares? It's all about the creative time. And maybe your card looks picture perfect. It's the best card you've ever made, or it looks like a complete hot mess, or anything in between. The fact of the matter is, you've sat down, you've expressed your creativity that's good for you and your well-being, and you've done something for yourself. And potentially done something for yourself that you can give to others. I mean, if you think about the original comment of things are looking too store-bought and not handmade enough, you could also think to yourself, that person's developed their skills to such a high level that it looks so professional. So I encourage you all to just craft for you, craft what you love, and your crafting and creative journey and how your cards look at the end of the day is nobody's business but yours. So just do it.